Let's talk about earnest money in Minnesota and why it's a joke. My name's Travis Anderson. I'm your local real estate expert. Let's talk about it. Stick with me to the end of this video where I'm going to tell you why earnest money is an absolute joke in Minnesota. But first, let's define it. Earnest money is a buyer's good faith deposit and an expression of their seriousness to buy a home. Now, in Minnesota, earnest money is typically a dollar amount, and we see it $500, $1,000 kind of on the low end. And you can see it as high as like the down payment on a home. So if you're buying a $500,000 property with 20% down, you can see $100,000 earnest money. Now that money is going to be removed from the buyer's bank account and it's going to be held into a trust account, usually with the listing agent or the sellers. Now, according to the purchase agreement, the earnest money is going to be protected to the buyer for inspections and mortgage contingencies and home sale contingencies and things that would be written in the contract that would protect the buyer or the consumer. And if for some reason you cancel under one of these terms in the purchase agreement, the buyer then gets their earnest money refunded to them. In the event that the buyer were to default, at least according to the purchase agreement, and a default means that they cancel, but for reasons that are not in the purchase agreement, maybe they just cancel because they get cold feet, or maybe there's some other reason that they cancel, then the earnest money is supposed to go to the seller. Why is earnest money a joke in Minnesota? Because the contract says one thing, the purchase agreement says a thing, and then the broker, the listing company, will never release the earnest money. The earnest money does not leave the bank account. It doesn't go to the buyer and it doesn't go to the seller until a new agreement has been reached. A cancellation agreement. It's a single page document where both buyer and seller have to sign, where they cancel the purchase agreement. And then in that document, they agree to distribute the earnest money. So earnest money in the Twin Cities in Minnesota is a little bit of a joke because of that. A seller cannot sell their home when they're under contract. They can't relist the home. So they're sort of feeling the pressure to sign this cancellation agreement. And a buyer could just hold that seller hostage, so to speak, by not signing a cancellation agreement unless they get the earnest money refunded. Now, in some instances, one might choose to litigate or sue. A seller may choose to sue a buyer for the terms that are written in the purchase agreement. But the reason it's a joke is because sometimes earnest money is so low, it's not worth suing over. I always tell my clients the same thing. If I'm working with a buyer, if you were to default on this contract, you absolutely should be willing to give up your earnest money. So write the number that's acceptable to you. If you were to walk away for reasons outside the contract, you should be giving up that money. That's the purpose of it. And then with sellers, I tell them, hey, look, it's a little bit of a joke. The purchase agreement says one thing, but there's a cancellation that you would have to agree on if the buyer were to default. So, hey, listen, if you've got questions or comments, do me a favor, give me a call, shoot me a text, hit me up in the comments section. And as always, all my best to you and yours.